Hi all, welcome to another webinar session. So this is part two out of a three-part series. You're here with myself, Ashila, Sunday evening at 7 p.m. And tonight I've called this session called The Ultimate Guide to Property Deal Sourcing in the UK. So I've been talking about this a lot over the last couple of weeks, whether you've received an email from me, whether you've seen a social post from me. I'm really hoping that you're going to take a lot from tonight's session. Just going to quickly move the camera. So for those that know, we're live on pretty much quite a few platforms, whether it be Instagram, Facebook. We're also going to be live on YouTube and as well as a webinar. So if you wouldn't mind, just give me a quick thumbs up or a heart or a quick comment in the comments box just saying, hi Arsh, I can hear you nice and loudly clearly. That will just let me know that you can hear me nice and loudly and clearly, and we can progress further, please. That'd be great. So Francis says, hi Arsh, brilliant. Okay, fantastic. So let's get moving on. Like I said, tonight's session, it's all about deal sourcing. I've got three great opportunities that I'm going to talk to you about property deals that I've done, as well as that showing you how we acquired them or how we structured the deal and what the benefits were for both parties. So whether it be the vendor, whether it be me as the person that structured it, etc. So I'll go through it all with you, and then if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them as we go along. So I always start the sessions by saying thank you, because I appreciate that you've got lots of things that you could be doing this evening, but you decided to spend it with me. So I want to say thank you for your time, because time is a commodity and it's something that we're all very short of. So I want to say thank you for that, and I really hope that you enjoy this session. I want to say hi to Renica, I want to say hi to Elton, Francis, everyone that's online. Looks like we've got a lot of people there, so let's get moving forward. So I've got to put some disclaimers out there straight away from the outset, is that there are lots of people in the property space that talk about property, that they're doing great things in property. I've got nothing wrong with that. And I always ask myself the question, what sets me aside to all these other people? So who is Ashila? What does he do? So first and foremost, I'm a property investor myself. I'm very active as a property investor. I've been involved in property now 22 years in property, and in that time frame I've traded thousands of property deals. When I say thousands, we'll go through some of the deals that we've done in this webinar and in this session. But first and foremost, I'm a property investor. I've got a large portfolio myself. There's the best part of 1,100 tenants in my portfolio, so that actively shows you that I've been there and I'm doing it. And as I've been involved in 22 years, I've been through pretty much a couple of recessions. So I've seen them, I've lived through them, I've had to tackle all kinds of stuff. So, high interest rates, low interest rates. I've also had to deal with, everyone else has, COVID, etc. But what I'm trying to get across is that I'm not a person that's just been on a workshop last week and I'm now trying to run a workshop. So that's not what I'm about. I've been and I've done it, and everything that I talk about this evening is something that I've actively done and I've transacted on. Now, one of my biggest accolades is that I'm the owner of a platform called the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property investment platform, which showcases all kinds of deals all over the UK. Now, if you haven't already downloaded it, feel free to go and do so. So you can go to either the website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. Now, that might be quite useful for you, especially if you're following us through on this session, because you'll be able to see some of the deals that we've done, because some of them you're going to see on there, so you can follow it through the whole process. I like to consider myself, and this is self-proclaimed, I don't mind saying that, is that I'm the UK's leading deal trader, and we trade on average around 500 deals a year, and that's a lot. With all due respect, it's a lot. Anywhere between 5 and 10 deals a week we sell. We source, package and sell. We're trying to ramp that up, so that obviously with the benefit of the Property Investor app, we're trying to get double that again. But this session is all going to be about how you guys are going to help me do that. I'm an author and feature writer, so I'm an Amazon bestseller of a book called Boom, Bust and Back Again. Now, the reason why I mention this is because, as the title suggests, it's never always been an easy journey. I've seen some good times in boom. I've seen some really bad times in the bust, and back again to tell the tale. So if you haven't already done so, feel free to go and check it out on Amazon. There's no pressure. Feel free to. I like to think it's an easy read. It's self-written, so I really hope that you enjoy that. I also feature write in two very well-known property magazines. I think it's actually more than two now. So I write in YPN magazine, so Your Property Network magazine. I contribute in the HMO magazine. I contribute in Blue Bricks magazines, as well as other features in other magazines pretty much every month. So really hope that, you know, if you haven't got one of those magazines, feel free to go and check it out. And as I said, I'm the author of Boom Bust and Back Again, and I've also helped hundreds of people become financially free from property. So I always put this out there. I always kind of understand what my definition of success is. Now, success can come in a meridian of different ways. So we can talk about, is success a number of properties that you own? Is it a certain level of cash flow? What's your accolade? How do you define success? Now, definition of success for me very much is a case of living life on my terms, which means that I can do what I want, when I want, how I want, with who I want. Now, that means that if I want to have the day off tomorrow, if I don't want to work for the rest of the week, I've got no one to answer to. If I want to go off and see my daughter's, let's say her assembly, or if I want to go and watch her play football that afternoon, I can do, and I can do that guilt-free, because I've spent so many years getting myself to a point where I am financially free. And as a result, I've got no one to answer to. So yeah, I've removed myself from, you know, being accountable to someone else. Now I'm only accountable to myself, and that for me is my definition of success. So if you wouldn't mind, guys, before we go any further, if you can, Renika says, I've missed part 1 of the 3-part series. Remember, we're in part 2 on this session. Can we watch it? So if you, I actually have a YouTube channel, so feel free to go and check it out on my YouTube channel. Go to YouTube, look under the handle of Ashila, and you'll be able to find it on there. So I really hope that helps you. So if you wouldn't mind, just in the comments box, just let me know, who are you and what's your current level of, where are you? Are you a beginner? Are you just starting out in property? Have you already got a portfolio of properties? And in actual fact, what's brought you here this evening? Because that's really going to help me help you guide us through this session. I always say that the journey is more important than the destination. Now, we've all got this goal that we probably want to be financially free. We want to get to a level of, let's say, £5,000 a month cash flow, or £10,000 a month cash flow. And that's great, but we need to define what the journey looks like. So what is the mechanism that's going to get us there? And by understanding what our goal is, only can we determine what the journey is going to look like. So is it going to be that you're going to buy property? Is it that you're going to acquire property? Is it that you're going to do developments? Because property is a weird and wonderful thing. It allows us to generate wealth, but we can do by either owning it, by building it, by acquiring it. And they're the 3 kind of ways that you can get involved in property. Whether you've got loads of money and you want to just put it into other projects, or whether you've got no money and you want to get started to build wealth, property allows you to do that. So remember, the journey is more important than the destination. We need to understand what the destination looks like, but we need to define what that journey does. And as a result, we can create our own journey as we go along. So, like I said, tonight's session is all about deal sourcing. Now, people always come to me and say, oh, well, isn't deal sourcing a strategy for beginners? And I always answer that with a pretty much an answer, saying, well, if you believe that, then you've kind of got the wrong mindset to start with. And I don't mind saying that. And believe it or not, in one of my posts over the weekend on Instagram, someone came to me and said, oh, okay, you're always pushing out deals. Some of your deals are even on like a work on with agents on Rightmove. And you know, I don't take any I don't pay any attention to that, because in this presentation I'm very clear in saying that I collaborate with lots of agents all over the country, and the reason why I do that is because it allows me to scale, and we'll cover this. And it just showed me the kind of mentality of what some of the people think is what deal sourcing is all about. Yes, deal sourcing is about finding the deal, but ultimately it's about being able to bring the deal and add value to that deal. So deal sourcing for me is a service that I'd like to think that serves two kinds of people. So it serves the either the person selling the property, whether that be the homeowner or the agent that you're acting on behalf of. And then the other segment that it serves is the buyer. So in essence, you've got three people involved in the chain. You've got the seller, and this may be the vendor, and then you've got the buyer, and then this is the person looking to purchase a property. Now, in between those two people, you've got another person, which is you, who is going to be the sourcer, the person who puts together the whole transaction. So you're the missing part of the jigsaw. So you understand who the seller is, you understand why they're looking to sell, you understand the reason, and you put together, you understand that transaction. And then as a result, you then package it out and you put it out to your buyers. Now, when you think of it from that point of view, we're in actual fact not anything new. And the reason why I say we're not anything new is because that's exactly what estate agents do. And I'm very, let's not glorify what we do here. We are, in essence, a glorified estate agent. I don't mind saying that. And lots of people think that deal sourcing is sexy and it's exclusive, and it's not. Let's be straightforward. It very much is a case where a transaction-based business where we've got a vendor, we've got an owner, they need to sell. The only difference is that we've got buyers who need to buy. We need to make sure that we can find enough people wanting to sell to meet our database of buyers, and it really is as simple as that. And so we've got to have enough product out there to serve our database of buyers. Does that kind of make sense? Does everyone understand where we are in that respect? I don't want to glamorize it. I don't want to overcomplicate it, because it doesn't need to be. Deal sourcing is quite a simple skill in essence, and if you get it right, it's a skill that can service you for many years of your property journey. Whether you're completely new and you're starting out in property, it allows you to move forward to get started in property. Also, if you're already an successful property investor and you've already on the ladder and you're currently in property, deal sourcing allows you to find deals to allow you to scale up your business. Now, if you're like me, I utilize deal sourcing as a mechanism now to scale. And some of the deals that we've done are deals that you would never have found through agents. And on the other hand, there'll be some deals that I would not have found through agents, but more importantly, some of our investors may not have found as a result of me introducing them. If you're watching this on Instagram, you're seeing that I've just wiped, having a bit of a clean because I've got hay fever, unfortunately, it's that season. So let's get moving on. So the service, we are a service to sellers. We help sellers sell their property. We're also a service to buyers. We help buyers buy properties that they may not have seen without our introduction, and as a result, we win all round. Now, property, as I defined last week, this is the same slide as last week, is that property comes in all kinds of weird and wonderful formats. So it comes in like whether it's a single let, so it could be a standard buy to let. Then from moving on from buy to let, it can then come on to a multi-let. So when we talk about multi-let, it could be something like a HMO, it could be a block of apartments. Now, obviously, each one has a separate cash flow model. So a single let will generate a certain amount of income. A multi-let will generate a certain amount of income. Now, as well as that, so moving on from residential, we've then got commercial deals. So we've got office buildings, we've got retail buildings, we've got industrial buildings, we've got logistical businesses, so like warehouses and logistical parks. Now, we as deal sourcers, there's nothing defining us from actually dealing with any of these. We can actually deal with any of them. So whether it be a single let, a multi-let, an office block, a retail property, and then we then go on further to land, so land with or without planning permission, which then becomes into development opportunities. And I'm going to be talking about some of these opportunities in my case studies that I'm going to be presenting to you in a few minutes. Okay, so Halima's coming in with a question which is on the webinar. And again, if you are watching on Instagram and you're watching on Facebook, feel free to leave a comment and I'll get through to it. So Halima says, hi, how often is it that the seller accepts another offer after an offer has been accepted? Is this a regular occurrence? I don't want to put offers on properties that already have offers accepted. Can this business still work for me? Right, Halima. First thing I'm going to suggest, I'm going to answer this because this kind of takes us off in a bit of a tangent. So what Halima has asked is, she goes, if she puts an offer on a property, what stops the seller accepting another offer? And then therefore Halima being gazumped. It's a great question, but what I'm going to throw this out there, Halima, I said, don't make an offer on the property, because remember, as a deal sourcer, are you the actual buyer? And this is where lots of deal sourcers get it wrong. The question that I'm going to ask you is that, are you the buyer as a deal sourcer? Because if you are the buyer, then yes, you should be putting the offer in. Now, let me just play this out as a role play. So I'm the estate agent here. Now, Halima, who was asked this question, she is the deal sourcer. Now, Halima may have a purchaser behind her who's asking the questions. Now, as an estate agent, let's just imagine I'm Connells. I'm Connells, I'm the estate agent. And there are other estate agents out there. Let's just use this as an example. Now, Halima comes to me and says, hi, I've seen that you got this property and it's on the market for 100,000. I want to make an offer of 90,000. Now, instantly, as the estate agent, I get excited. I get excited because I think, yes, we've got a buyer. You know, we've got this lady called Halima, 90,000. Yes, we might be able to close on the deal. Now, Halima hasn't been very transparent with us that she's not the buyer. She hasn't told us that she's not the buyer, and therefore, you know, as far as we're concerned, the estate agent is the this person is the buyer. Now, ultimately, what's going to happen is that we're going to lose a lack of trust. There's going to be a lack of trust now because Halima's not told us the full story. I would rather Halima come to the estate agent and say, guys, okay, I've seen that you've got this property. It's on for 100,000. I think we may have a buyer. We're not the buyer. And then off the back of that, Halima then introduces her buyer to the property. When it comes to the figure, I never put an offer forward as me as the buyer because I'm not the purchaser. I don't want to provide my proof of funds as if I'm the buyer because, again, I'm not the buyer. Does that make sense? Don't take an estate agent down the route of thinking that you're the buyer, because you're not. And if you're providing proof of funds as if you are the buyer, guess what, guys? Unfortunately, you are opening a really slippy slope. You are literally going to be sliding down a slippery slope because you can't. That's not your property. You're not buying it. So why would you do that? And what happens is that along the way, Connells thinks that Halima's now buying the property. And then all of a sudden the contract comes in Halima's name. Halima has to turn around and say, oh, no, it's not me. It's Mr. Jones that's buying the property. Then the estate agent's going to straight away go, hang on, what's going on here? I'm not sure if I like this. I'm not sure if this is legal, or I'm not sure if this is fraudulent, because one minute we thought it's Halima, now we're getting the name of Mr. Jones. Who is this Mr. Jones? We now need to see his proof of funds. And all of a sudden they stop speaking to Halima. Does that make sense? So Halima, whatever you do, don't follow through with that process if that's what you're doing, because I guarantee you that agents will not work with you. And I talk from experience when I say that. So let's get moving on. So I'm going to ask you a question, and everyone that's on Instagram or on Facebook or on the webinar, let's ask you a question. So I've got a load of questions here. So what do you consider a deal? So is a deal something that's below market value? Is a deal something that's a property that may need renovation? Is a deal a property that's already something producing a good income? Is a deal something producing a good return on investment? Is it something producing capital growth? Is it something that's sustainable as a property? Is it something that produces cash flow or capital appreciation, or has the opportunity to add value? Or is it something where you can add value in terms of planning gain? Or is it something that you can an opportunity where you can take control with little value, with little capital. Out of all those, which one of those do you think is a deal? Answer, just say, you know, one, this one or that one, or etc. Or if you believe it's all of them, put all of them. Feel free to comment in the box now. Feel free to comment and say, Arsh, I think a deal is one that's below market value. And the reason why I'm doing this is just trying to get you into your mindset to understand where you are as to what you think a deal is. Does that make sense? So whilst you do that, I'm going to keep moving forward. So, okay, brilliant. So everyone on the webinar, and it's really good to see that we've got Halima, we've got Sanj, we've got Elton, we've got Francis, we've got Renica. So Renica thinks that buying a property in need of renovation is a deal, but she doesn't believe that the others may be. So again, this is opening your mind to what is initially a transaction, or initially what is a deal. The reason why I say that is because it will determine what you look at and how you look at it. So I don't mind saying that I believe all of them are deals, because again, on this webinar, let me just try and on this webinar, on this live with Instagram and Facebook, we're going to have some property investors that are only going to want below market value deals. Now, we're going to be other ones that may not actually have cash to purchase deals, or they may not have capital required to purchase properties. So therefore, they're going to want rent-to-rent properties. So therefore, buying something below market value is irrelevant to the people that don't have the capital, because they're not in a position to buy. So my question is that if a property came to you and it was below market value and you didn't have the capital required to get started, would you have actually then just dismissed that opportunity? What I'm trying to get across is that why would you even categorize these? Why wouldn't you say, yes, these are all deals, and I'm going to look at every opportunity, and therefore I'm going to try monetize every kind of deal, every kind of lead? And if I was to say that now, if you think of an estate agent's window, if they had to segment and say, well, in actual fact, I'm only going to focus on a 2-bedroom terraced house, and we're only going to sell 2-bedroom terraced houses because that's our speciality, would that make sense? Because what happens if someone comes to with a 3-bedroom semi-detached house? They'll say, sorry, we can't sell that. We only focus on 2-bedroom terraced houses because that's our niche, that's our deal. They would become so narrow-minded, and they would miss out on 99% of the other opportunities. So the 1-bedroom flats, the 2-bedroom flats, the 2-bedroom terrace houses, 3-bedroom terrace houses, 3-bedroom semi-detached, 4-bedroom semi-detached, detached houses, you know, the bungalows, the build plots, all of them. And what I'm trying to get across to you is, don't limit yourself just to one opportunity. What I would rather you is do what estate agents do, get yourselves out there and look at so many different opportunities and be able to then label each one as it comes in. Okay, so yes, this is a below market value deal. Okay, this may be a renovation opportunity. Oh, this may be a cash flow opportunity. Oh, this might be a rent to rent. This might be a lease option, because that's what property allows us to do. It allows us to categorize and put them in different segments. And then therefore, we can then push them out to the investors who this segment suits. Does that make sense? I really hope that it does. If you can, if you're on the feed, give me a quick heart. If you're on the webinar, just give me a quick yes or no. And the reason why I say that is because I've always said this: there's no need to be a one-trick pony. Don't limit yourself to the opportunity. Look at every opportunity and come up with a solution that meets that owner's requirements. Because remember, an investor maker, or should I say an owner, may come to you and turn around and say, we want to sell this property. But the reality is that if you're really good at what you do, which I believe I am, I can perhaps look at better solutions for that owner than what have previously considered for themselves. And I think I mentioned this in last week's live and last week's session, that I got approached recently, I think it's in February this year, that someone approached me to buy 2 hotels off them in Blackpool. And in actual fact, yes, they wanted to sell them, but in actual fact, I structured them as lease options because I actually thought that the lease option was a better solution for everyone involved. It was a better deal for me. It was a better deal for the owner, but I only was able to structure that because I understood the structures and I understood what the motivation and the pain that the owners were going through. Does that make sense? Now, one of the reasons why I like deal sourcing, first and foremost, is that I get to see all the deals first and I get to have a look at it from a point of view. Remember what I said previously. Remember, as a deal sourcer, as someone involved in in property, I want to be able to see the property first before anyone else sees it, because that puts me in almost like a one-horse race. When I say one-horse race, I'm almost like guaranteed to win. So if you had to be in a position where, if you had to put yourself in 2 scenarios, would you rather be in an auction room with yourself, knowing that you're the only person that you're competing against, or would you prefer to be competing against 100 other bidders? Which scenario would you like to be in? Because I know that being the only one that's looking at that property, I've got a much higher chance of success of completing on that deal and structuring that deal, as opposed to competing against 100 other people. And this is what's happening in the marketplace. As soon as a property goes on Rightmove and Zoopla, you're then competing against hundreds of other people, and hundreds of other people that may have hundreds of different motives with this property. Remember, they don't all share your vision. They may have some other visions. And again, when it comes to property, you may think that that property is a below market value deal. Someone may also think that that property is a service accommodation deal. Someone may see that as a development opportunity. And let's just go back to the simple basics. When we look at a vacant piece of land, what people build on that land will vary according to their vision. Someone may want to build a block of apartments on it. Someone may want to build a development of houses. Someone may want to build a mini industrial park. Someone may want to build a mini commercial park. Some people may want to build part retail, part commercial, because they all have different skills and techniques, and each of these opportunities have their own cash flow model. Now, I feel like I've gone slightly off tangent here, but the reality remains the same. Put yourself in a position where you see the opportunity first, so that you're not actually having to compete and bid against other people. So I'm now going to go on to the showcase of 3 different property deals. 2 of these were direct to vendor deals, and 1 of them was on with an estate agent. So first one is a renovation project. When we say renovation project, so it's a property in Wolverhampton, so my hometown, my home city. And the vendor contacted me and she goes, Arsh, I want to sell this property. And I need to sell it quite quickly because she had other things that she wanted to do with money. And I thought, okay, great. So it was, it was valued at approximately 400, just over £400,000. And when I went to have a look at it, I saw that there's an opportunity to add some value because it was a large house sitting on quite a large plot. And I felt like that we could develop it further, but we would need the necessary planning consents. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this as a showcase is because everyone can do this deal. Because believe it or not, I actually put 0 money into this deal. Sorry, tell a lie, I put £500 into this deal. So just give me a show of hands if you got £500 and you could do this deal. And if I was to say that £500 will in actual fact make you £100,000, would you do this deal? Now, this is a big claim. I don't mind saying it, but we've got all the documentation to back this up should you wish to see it. So anyway, I went to this vendor and I said, okay, fine. Property's worth around 400,000. We've got, and etc. She said that she would do a below market value deal and she wanted it sold quickly. I thought we could offer a little bit more than what she needed, but I would need a bit of time because I wanted to go off and get planning permission for the property to potentially extend the existing footprint of the building. Now we went off, it took approximately 8 weeks, we got planning permission granted, and then we sold it to a property developer. Now what we did is that we said to the owner that you will get X amount. So let's just say, for argument's sake here, we said the property is going to be worth X. So we agreed a figure of £300,000 with the vendor, on the basis that we would get this done quickly. We would put some hurt money in. Our hurt money in this deal was £500. Off the back of that, we went off and got planning permission. This was all done legally, by the way, all done through solicitors. And then off the back of that, we then got planning permission for a 7-bedroom dwelling on that property. We then sold that property to a property developer through an auction for £415,000. Now, we spent some money on that, so we spent £500, which is a lot of money if you think about it like that. But we then made £103,000 from that transaction. So my question is, and everyone listening to this, and by all means, if you want to check it out, feel free to go and check it out. You can have a look through the auction platform that we sold it through. You can have a look through all the documentation. Everything's all there. So it's all documented for anyone to check out if you think that this is too good to be true. Now, I appreciate this is a needle in a haystack. Making £103,000 from a £500 transaction is, yeah, this is a needle in a haystack, and these won't come along very often. But when they do, you take them, you get them done. These are the unicorn of deals. So Renica says, what do you spend the £500 on? It was planning application to extend the footprint of the building, so turn it from a 4-bed to a 7-bed. And so as a result of producing the larger and again, all we did is we got some initial drawings. We got some initial drawings done. We put the planning application in. Planning application was granted. Off the back of that, we then sold it to a developer. The developer paid us the premium as a result to get the new planning application or the new planning permission, and it was all done. So anything over 300,000, the owner had to pay us that commission, and we sold it for £415,000. So great deal. Now everyone can do this, because really, Renica says, how long did it take for planning permission? To 8 weeks. To 8 weeks for planning permission to be granted. And we kept the vendor informed every step of the way, and it worked really well. The vendor got what they wanted. They got a quick sale. They got the money that they were after. We managed to take control of the property. We managed to increase the value of that property, and we managed to sell the property and benefit from the difference in value. So they're the key takeaways from this property. Now, second property, quite similar, but a different style of property. So this property is in Dudley now. So a little bit further up down the road, further up the road in the West Midlands. So it's a plot of land, and it had next to the plot of land a Grade 2 listed mill building. So this was in Churchfield Road in Dudley. So vendor, again, I believe it or not, I saw this piece of land, and I went and found out who owned it by land registry. So I spent £3 on finding out who owned it. I wrote to them and said, guys, okay, I've seen that this piece of land has been sat derelict for a long time. Would you consider doing something with it? They contacted me, and we met them, on site. And off the back of that, they were happy to do something, providing that we could come up with a viable proposal. So this took a bit of time, took a few weeks to go back and forth with the owner. Now, off the back of that, we agreed with the owner that we would go off and we wouldn't get planning permission. What I would get my architect to run his eye over it. So we didn't spend any money on it. All we did is we speculated a bit of time with our architect. Now, off the back of that, the architect looked at the existing building, and they looked at the surrounding land. And he goes, Arsh, he goes, we've got the mill, which sits on a footprint here on the right-hand side there. He goes, I reckon we can get 6 apartments in the existing mill. I said, okay, that's great. That was quite easy. Everyone knew that that was going to happen. Now, on the left-hand side, where we've got all this empty space, I said to Ken, who was my architect at the time, God rest his soul, he's passed away unfortunately now, but what a great guy. And I believe his son may actually watch this live. So Stephen, you know, I've still yet to find a replacement for Ken. And this land, I said to Ken, can we replicate what we've got in the mill on the right-hand side onto the piece of land on the left-hand side? Because we've got sufficient space. So if you think we can get 6 over there, we can get 6 on the left-hand side, and it will work for all parties involved. So he plotted it up on planning on his drawing platform, and believe it or not, we did. So we didn't go off and get planning permission for this because we didn't have the time. The vendor didn't want us to do this, but we plotted it as what we believe could work, and off the back of that, we then put this in an auction, and we agreed a deal with the owner where she would get the first £80,000. Now, anything over £80,000, we structured a deal and documentation to confirm that anything over £80,000, we would do a split structure. So anything over £80,000 that is generated, we would do a 50-50 split with them. So if it's sold for £100,000, that means that the excess between 180 is 20. So if we split that 50-50, she would get 10,000, I would get 10,000. And to be fair, I did think it was only going to sell for 100,000. So that's why I didn't want to spend too much money on the outset of the costings. So we put it into a local auction. And again, I've got a great relationship with a local auction. And believe it or not, we actually sold it for £120,000, which meant that on completion, the owner got the first 80,000. Now, the remaining 40,000, we did a split. So I walked away with 20. She walked away with the additional 20. And the reality is that in actual fact, this was a win for everyone because she was happy with 80. But the reality is that she actually got 100. Now, it sounds daft when you say it like that because you're thinking, why would I pay her 100 for something that she were previously to accept 80? And the reality is it created a win-win. It allowed me to do this deal. This is the only way we could structure this deal. So Henry says, a living legend. Love that. Thank you, Henry. Now, there's no reason why you can't do this. So there's deals like this all over the country. And I'm asking you all to come and join me and we can do this together. So the development opportunity that we just spoke about on screen is available to everyone. So, you know, there's large plots of land that are sat there completely unencumbered and sat there vacant. And you could structure these guys and say, guys, you've got the land, I've got the skill, we've got the contacts, let's do something with this. And we do stuff like this pretty much on a monthly basis. The houses that we spoke about in the previous one, that's a needle in a haystack. To make £100,000 on one project with capital input of £500, that's quite rare. But they do come along. But when you do come along, you've got to make sure that you're educated enough to do the deal. Does everyone like these showcases that I'm doing right now? Feel free to give me a quick yes or no. We're a little bit quiet on the webinar comment box, so feel free, just let me know that, are you understanding these? Yes. So the development opportunity, we should all be looking for these. And again, because we're offering the vendor a little bit more money and we're creating almost like a mini partnership, remember, this is all backed up with legal documentation. Now, off the back of that, we get this moving forward. They make money, we make money, everyone wins. Everyone wins. Now, we've talked about 2 deals there where we've just spoke about 2 deals where they're direct to vendor. I'm also going to speak to you about a deal that we did direct with an agent. Now, again, going back to this person at the start and go, Arsh, some of your deals on with agents. First of all, you're a moron. If you're watching, you're a moron. Because most of the times, a lot of deals will be on with agents. And the reason why I say that is because, let's face it, and no, actual fact, I'll come back to that in a second. So let's get moving on with this. So here's another property. So a property that you're going to see on screen now is a property on the right-hand side. So it's a building in Wolverhampton. Now, remember what I said earlier is that when you go and you see a property on with an agent, you're now competing with lots of different people, lots of different property investors who may have lots of different visions for the property and lots of different cash flow models. So you don't know how much they're prepared to spend on that property. Now, here's a property that was on with an estate agent. It went on the market for £180,000. Now, I went and viewed this property. Originally, it was a house which was already converted into 4 flats. It was already converted into 4 flats, and it was derelict, it was old, it was, yeah, it was pretty much in really bad condition. Now, off the back of that, when I went and viewed it, there's approximately 30 other people viewing it. I thought, oh God, okay, I don't think I'm going to end up buying this. And if I do want to buy it, I need to move quickly. And straight away, I offered the agent the full asking price for the property. Now, really at random. Now, this isn't me acting as a deal sourcer. This is me acting as a property investor and wanting to purchase this property for himself. So in actual fact, I went to the agent and said to him, guys, I like the property. I'll offer you £180,000 on the proviso it's removed today. And I made an offer before anyone else was able to make an offer. Why did I offer the full market value for a property on with an estate agent? What did I see that other people didn't see? And believe it or not, the agent said, Arsh, we have to give some people an opportunity to make an offer. And we did that, and we gave them 24 hours after the viewing date. Now, they got lots of offers of 140,000, 150,000, 160,000. We actually had another one close to 180,000, but my offer of the full asking price and a quick completion timescale allowed me to get this deal done. Now, I said to them, I want to get the deal done, but during the process, I want to go off and get planning permission. They said, well, what do you want to get planning permission for? And I saw that that building had a footprint to be able to convert it from not only 4 flats now to 6 flats. So I had my architect quickly do some drawings. Again, Ken, what a great guy. Ken got planning permission for 6 flats in there. And as soon as we bought it, that building, we converted it into 6 one-bedroom apartments. And this is something that I own, and this is something that is within my portfolio. And we spent approximately £150,000 on the conversion cost. So remember, I paid £180,000 for it. I spent £150,000 on converting it. So it means that in actual fact, it owes me £330,000, but I actually had it valued after it was all completed at £600,000, which meant that I was actually able to refinance it, get all my money back out, and have an asset that produces, it now produces approximately £40,000 per annum and provided me with a cash flow of approximately £2,000 a month. So I had to go out, I had to put myself out there. We put an offer in that I thought was viable because we could add value. Now, how can I do this? One of the ways that I can do this is by understanding what we can do within the property, having a look at what the floor plan allows us to do. Now, why am I telling you this? Because obviously we're talking about deal sourcing, but part of deal sourcing is understanding the skill of what you can do with the property. A single let is just a single let, but potentially a single let can become a multi-let, and a piece of land can become a development. Does that kind of make sense? Now, as a result, if you understand that, when you put this together and you wanted then to sell this on to your investor, they need to be able to understand what your vision is with the property, because they may not be able to see it, but by you spelling it out, there's no reason why they wouldn't then turn around and say, yes, I like it, I want to buy it, I want to move forward with it. So there's my 3 opportunities. 1 with an agent, 2 that were off market. Which one was your favorite? Was it property number 1, where it's the one where we made a lot of money at £100,000? Was it property number 2, which was a piece of land? Or was it property number 3, was the property that was converted into 6 apartments? So if you wouldn't mind, just give me a 1, 2, or 3. So Renica says, I loved all 3 of them as well. So fantastic. Okay. So Halima says, hi Arsh, she goes, what did you say about the development deals, selling land? Are they hard to sell? No, they're not hard to sell if you've got the vision and you can clearly justify, because remember, not everyone wants to become a landlord. And this is a key thing. Not everyone wants to become a landlord. There are people that literally just want to purchase property, develop property and sell property. They've got no intention of being a landlord. So again, development opportunities are sold every day. So feel free to have a look through those. So, okay, so the guys, so a couple of people on the on Instagram said, I really like property number 2. And believe it or not, it's a great project. It's very easy to do. finding pieces of land that are derelict, locating the owners, or it doesn't even have to be land, it could be derelict buildings as well. So again, this is what is called an assisted sale. So if we were to categorize that into a strategy, it's called an assisted sale. So assisted sale means that you assist the owner by bringing the property up to standard, and you do almost like a mini joint venture, so that they give you the land. Well, when I say give you the land, they gift you the time with the land. You go off and add value. You then sell that property with its new added value, and everyone makes money from it. So Mohammed says, I really, all three are brilliant, but I really like the vision and execution for property number 3. So you like the thought of, you know, the development of adding value into the deal. And again, you don't have to go to the extent of building it out. So you could literally look at a single let, and you could potentially then convert that into a multi-let. So a single let being a, let's say, a 3-bedroom terrace house into a 4-bedroom HMO. It can be smaller. It could be a house that you convert into 2 flats. A development doesn't have to be a monstrosity of a building. It can literally just be a conversion of a property. Sam says, I love number 3. So, right, okay. Again, this is a property that is in my portfolio and I've owned. And go back to that point of that person that said, well, Arsh, he goes, some of your property deals sort of, you know, you collaborate with agents. Why would you do that? Because I'm a big believer in the quote, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Yeah, give me a heart if you like that quote. Alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. Now, let me elaborate on that, because I've always talked about my collaboration with agents. I don't mind saying that. We've got collaborations with agents all over the country, because me as Ashila only has a limited amount of capital to put into marketing. So for me to try and reach all the different kinds of vendors all over the country is going to be very, very difficult. Whereas a giant like Connells, a giant like Reeds Rains, a giant like Purple Bricks, and all the other estate agents, let's have a look at what their marketing strategy is. Their marketing strategy is hundreds of thousands of pounds, some of them even millions of pounds. And if they're reaching all those people, why it would make perfect sense in me venturing or partnering with these people and saying, guys, okay, you've done all the hard work, you've found the vendors, now allow me to work with you and find you the buyer. Does that make sense? So for those that are on the webinar, has there been any light bulb moments hit right there? Why would I go off and spend tens of thousands of pounds on a marketing strategy which is not going to be anywhere near as effective of the likes of Connells and Reeds Rains and all the national estate agents that spend hundreds of thousands of pounds? And if they get the deals and then I can collaborate with them and we can sell them. Remember, let's take this one step back. From an estate agent, what is their prime objective? As a business, what's their prime objective? Their prime objective is to sell property. In order to sell property, what do? They generate fees. Now, as a result, they generate commission. Now, off the back of that, do they care where their property is sold from? Do they care whether a buyer comes from Rightmove? Do they care whether a buyer comes from Zoopla? Do they care whether a buyer comes from On the Market? Do they care whether it's a buyer that walks through the door? Do they care whether it's a buyer that's been introduced to them from the Property Investor app, or Arsh Ilahi, or Andrew, or Francis, or Passion, or any of the other people? What's the difference between all these different buyers? They just need to get the deal done. So if they've got the opportunities and I've got the buyers, why wouldn't it make sense that it's a partnership made in heaven. Do you agree with that? Does everyone on the webinar agree with that? Now, the reason why I say this is because you guys all on the webinar and you guys all watching this, you have the opportunity. Now, on the screen here, I mentioned this last week. There's 53,000 estate agents in the country, and there's on average over 800,000 properties for sale. So for the guy that commented, it's quite rude about it, if I'm honest. Tell me, is your marketing strategy going to be able to hit 800,000 people? Are you going to be able to work with over 53,000 agents? No, you're not. No chance. You're not even going to be able to do 1% of them. But what I'm trying to get across is that there's more than enough meat in this market for everyone to get involved. So I get agents email me pretty much on a daily basis because they understand the power of finding someone that can deliver a buyer. And they said, Arsh, we've got some properties here. Can you help find us a buyer? They don't care where they're finding the buyer from. I don't care where the property comes from. So it's a match made in heaven. If I'm not having to spend any money on the marketing of finding the property, and I would rather focus my time on building the relationships with the buyer, wouldn't you do the same? So let me ask a question to everyone that's watching this. If you knew that someone could bring you deals in, month out, would you rather do a collaboration with them, or would you rather go off and spend thousands of pounds yourself to try and find one or two good deals? So straight away, Sam has said collaboration. Now, Richard is on Instagram. He said collaboration. So this is a match made in heaven. This is a business opportunity. And in actual fact, we're doing 50% of the business, but for 100% of the gain. How powerful is that? If I was said to you, I can provide you with deals all week, every week, all throughout the year, and you don't need to spend a penny on marketing, why wouldn't you do that? Or alternatively, don't work with me and go and spend tens of thousands of pounds to try and generate the same kind of leads that we can already get for free. Which one is it going to be? So straight away, Mohammed says, teamwork makes the dream work. Francis says, I definitely work with them. Andrew says, need your network. Sam says, collaboration for sure. Mohammed says, no need to reinvent the wheel. And that's a great way of putting it. No need to reinvent the wheel. If it's not broken, let's not fix it. So let's get moving on. I make it look too easy. I don't mind saying that. You know, today I presented 3 opportunities where we made over £200,000 on 3 property deals. These 3 property, we probably made more in these deals than some property investors would have made in their lifetime of being in property. But there's no reason why you can't do the same. So on screen, I've got a guy called Craig. I spoke about Craig Webb last week. So Craig Webb started working with me, and within 1 month, we managed to get him start working and generate 8 deals within 1 month. Because I told him and I showed him how to look at different properties in different methods and different manners. So no need to be that one-trick pony. Look at every property and apply a strategy which works best for the owner and the purchaser. So again, he then stopped looking at just trying to find below market value deals. He looked at every opportunity, and off the back of that, within 1 month, he did 8 deals, which was phenomenal. And on the average deal fee was approximately £3,000 to £5,000. You can calculate how much he actually made, and that's within 1 month. And that's by spending 0 on marketing. How's that sound? Sounds too good to be true, but I'm a big believer that the most strategic will be the most successful. So it's about throwing yourself out the comfort zone. It's about putting yourself in a position of being an entrepreneur and making those calls and get those deals done. And believe it or not, you'll be surprised at how easy these deals now start to look. So some of the deals that we had, so these are Craig's deals. So he saw property in Hull, he saw property in Worksop, he saw property in Luton. And again, when we look at the strategies, one of them was a HMO, one of them was a block of apartments, another one was a HMO, and then the next one was in Walsall, which was a portfolio of 7 properties. We've got a 4-bedroom property in HMO in Burnley, and then we've got another property in Boston, a 5-bedroom HMO in Boston. Now, if you have a think about this, look at the locations. Did he actually, well, if you think of the locations, they're dotted all over the country. Now, as a deal sourcer, you don't actually need to visit any of these properties. Now, as a deal sourcer, you don't actually have to only focus on one location. You're not governed to stay in one location like an estate agent is. So let's just imagine Connell's Wolverhampton branch can only really offer properties in Wolverhampton, because if you step on the toes of the Birmingham branch isn't going to be too happy, as well as the West Bromwich branch, as well as the Coventry branch. They've all got their own branches. They have to stay within their location. Now, you as a deal sourcer, you've got no one to answer to. You literally go boom, 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 find deals all over the country. Today you could be up in Scotland, tomorrow you could be down in Bournemouth, tomorrow you could be down in Cornwall, next day you could be up in East Anglia, next day you could be over there. You just go wherever the deal is, and this is what makes this so powerful. Don't let anyone tell you where you can operate. You're a free agent, and I always say this: go and fish out in the sea. Let's not concentrate on the pond. The sea is where all the deals are, and the sea is 53,000 estate agents in the UK. The sea is 800,000 properties in the UK. And off the back of that, someone's always going to ask the question, Arsh, well, if I get these deals, where are we going to put them? How are we going to sell them? And this is a beautiful thing. The Property Investor app will sell those for you. So not only have you not had to do a great deal of work to find them, but you're also not going to be able to have to do a great deal of work to sell them, because I've already created that platform. I've already got the buyers ready waiting for you. All you've got to do is find the deals. Finding the deals, we've already discussed very briefly, or should I say in detail, as to how to get them done. I've even given you 3 examples, the kinds of deals. I could talk to you about different examples of all different kinds of deals all over the country. So have a quick look at some of the deals that I've done. And we've got 14-bedroom HMO in West Bromwich. We've got 2 1-bedroom flats in Birmingham. We've got 3-year rent-to-rent deal as a 3-year service accommodation deal in Surrey. We've only talked about deals that we've actually either purchased or done an assisted sale on. We've not mentioned rent-to-rent. We've not mentioned lease option. If you go back to last week's session, we talked about 2 hotels that I did on a purchase lease option on. We talked about the commercial, the building that I acquired which had 26 offices in. Again, these are all transactions that you can do. Now, with deal sourcing, you don't have to sell every deal. You can keep them for yourself. You can keep all the deals for yourself, like I've done with some of the deals that I find. Remember, the reason why I like deal sourcing is because I get to keep the deals that I want first. So if there's something that crosses my desk and I think, oh, I like the look of that, I'm going to keep it for myself. If you've got the funds and you've got the ability and the ability to transact that deal, keep it. If it's not for you, you monetize it. Buy. So do I buy it? Do I sell it? Very simple. Does that kind of make sense? So I can talk to you all night about different kinds of deals, all the different types of deals that we do on a day-to-day basis, and they're a mixture of below market value deals, full market value deals, rent-to-rent deals, lease option deals, where some of the deals are direct to vendor, direct to agents, or dealing with agents, and some of them, believe it or not, even co-sourcing. Now, co-sourcing we could talk about as a completely different strategy, and we'll talk about that shortly. So let's get moving on. So if you want more case studies, go and check out the Property Investor app. So we've got over 200 other properties on the app, all sourced by myself and some of my other EPT members. EPT stands for Elite Property Tribe. So you can either go to the website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. So let's get moving on to, it's hot in here. Right, so let's get moving on to what is the Elite Property Tribe. So I've created a training program called the Elite Property Tribe. And the reason why I've done this is because I want to teach lots of different property investors how to find all these different types of deals. So whether it be a below market value deal, a rent to rent deal. So I've broken it down into 6 modules: below market value, rent to rent, lease option, HMO. HMO stands for house multiple occupation, service accommodation, and development opportunities. So I will be teaching you how to understand what each of these strategies look like, and as well as that, how to actually acquire these types of deals. More importantly, how to calculate the cash flow and how to understand the vision for each of these kind of deals. Does that make sense? So let's have a look at module number 1, below market value deals. Where to find them, how to approach them, whether they're off-market opportunities or on-market opportunities, how to negotiate them and create win-win scenarios, how to appraise them, the different kinds of contracts required and the legalities required. Because again, this is a big thing. If you don't understand it, how are you going to appraise it? How are you going to package it? How are you going to sell it? We've got celebrity online. We've got, hey, where's Shaz? Way. And then we look at all the different models and methods to monetize the opportunity. So, plus in module 1, you have all the documents, you have all the spreadsheets, the adverts, and the marketing strategies required. Now, module 2 is rent to rent. So remember, module 2 is completely different to module 1 because now we're talking about acquiring property. We're not buying property. Rent to rent is where you acquire it by utilizing someone else's asset for their time. So what is rent to rent? Where to find them? How to approach them? What are the different types of methods to approach them? So is it direct to vendor? Is it direct to landlord? And what platforms to use? Is it dealing with agents? Is it co-sourcing with other sources? How to negotiate them? The contracts and the legalities, again, big thing, the contracts and the legalities, because if you don't understand that, you're not going to get the deal done. How to appraise them and how to package them and sell them on to investor. Remember, you don't have to keep every deal that you see. You can monetize it. See the ones that you like, sell the ones that you don't. Plus all the documents, spreadsheets, adverts, and marketing strategies required. Now, taking it one step further from rent to rent is a lease option. What is a lease option? What's the benefits of a lease option? How to find them, direct to vendor, or dealing with agents or co-sourcing, how to negotiate them, contracts and legals, because the contracts and legals are different from a rent to rent contracts and legals. How to appraise them, how to package them, and again, all the documentation that you require for that. Number 4, is this number 4? Let me have a look. Module 4, HMO, house multiple occupation. What is a HMO? What's the legislation surrounding around HMO? So we have a look at things like Article 4, what can be done, licensed, non-licensed. Article 4 and how to appraise it, how to find direct to landlord deals and what platforms to use, dealing with agents, how to appraise them, how to package them, how to sell them. Module 5, service accommodation. What is service accommodation? What's the legislation surrounding service accommodation? And this is becoming more increasingly important. How to appraise them, how to look at the cash flow models, how to find them, direct to vendor, how to and what platforms to use, what to say to agents to get them to start working with you, how to automate the running of service accommodation and run it as an effective business, and how to package it and sell it as an investor if you don't want it for yourself. And then number 6 is development opportunities. So module number 6 is development opportunities. The different types of development deals, how to appraise them and look at the cash flow models, how to find them, how to go direct to the vendor, how to deal with the agents, how to actually look and understand the different types of scenarios and create win-win scenarios. So with all my modules, I put not only the theoretical model in, but I also show you the practical model. So here's what you should do in theory. Now, if it was me, this is what I would do. And I taught you through the practical approach. So, and we will do that live with different deals as well. So you can see what I do and how I would do that. Plus how to package them, how to look at the different cash flow models and work it to the benefit so that it works for you and also the investor potentially looking to buy it. So it is broken down into 6 clear and easy to follow modules of online training. Each module will have mini segments, like for argument's sake, how to find deals from vendors, how to structure the deal, how to calculate the deal. So it's broken down in mini modules. Now, because it is recorded content, you can watch it over and over as many times as you want. So it's not like you're going to get overloaded with information and not know what to do. The key thing is learning it. The most important thing is implementing it. We can all talk about it. I don't want talkers. I want action takers. Now, in addition to this, to make sure that you're actually taking action, we're going to be doing a fortnightly live deal clinic and a problem-solving webinar. So if you come across a property and you're not 100% sure whether this is a deal or this is not, bring it to a deal clinic. Let me appraise it with you live on the deal clinic and with other EPT members so that we stay within this collaborative community. You'll also have the ability to shadow me in the office for a day throughout the year. So there's multiple days where you can come and spend some time with me in the office and we can look through deals together. I can listen to your phone calls, and off the back of that, I can see what you're saying well, what needs improvement, and off the back of that, we can fine tune it. So by the end of the day, we can say, yes, okay, turn everything from a maybe into yes. Does that make sense? And then you get to sell all your deals through to my investor database, through with the collaboration of the Property Investor app. Plus, you get access to the Elite Property Tribe WhatsApp group. So you're going to be in a group with me personally, and off the back of that, we're going to keep communicating so that we can get deals done. So I will be opening up a day. So once you guys have watched the 6 modules, the next thing that I'll be doing is asking you to come and spend a day as a collective in Wolverhampton, where we're going to spend the day looking for deals, and we're going to have you on the phones for a whole day looking and speaking to vendors so that we can get deals done. My plan is that you get these deals done as quickly as possible so that you make your money back as quickly as possible. So here's my promise to you, that within the workshop, you're going to have a mentorship and accountability. I'm always going to be by your side. You're going to have me for your fortnightly live deal clinics, Mondays between 7 and 9 p.m. I'm going to help you with your negotiations and solving problems. So if you come across a property you're not 100% sure, I'm going to help you with that. You're also going to have my personal mobile number, which we're going to be involved in a personal WhatsApp group. As well as that, you're going to have access to all the previous recordings of all the other trainings that I've done. So there's over 400 hours of that. So someone said to me, Arsh, what's the cost of it? So the cost of it, very simple, is I've tried to keep it as accessible as possible. The cost of it is £3,000 for the 6 modules. So you have to buy the whole 6 modules. So there are 2 ways to pay. You can either pay in one go, which is one lump sum, and you get the full access to the whole program immediately. Or alternatively, you can actually break it down into 3 monthly payments of £1,000. And the first 2 modules will be released immediately, and then every time a payment is made, the other 2 modules will be released consecutively. So if you want more information, you can go to bit.ly/EPT info. And for those that are taking action, literally tonight, forgot to change the date, it's the 14th of May. For those that join live from the webinar, you also get the workshop of the previous 52 modules that we created. So I've condensed it down into 6 modules because I don't want you running through 52 modules. I'd rather break it down into 6 easy modules. But for those that want the full program, we'll also throw that in there for you. So in essence, you get 2 courses for the price of 1. The price of this course alone is over £5,000, but today you get them both for £3,000. So in order for you to join, there are 3 ways. You can either pay in, you can either go and check out some more information, which is bit.ly/EPT info. You've either got, you can join in one payment, which is bit.ly/EPT intensive. And then you can pay in 3 monthly installments, which is EPT intensive monthly. Now we're going to stop here and have a mini Q&A session. So if you've got a question, feel free to ask it now and let's go through it. So here's some of the questions that are coming straight away throughout, which has been coming out throughout the webinar. So Halima says, for property 1, what happened whilst you waited for planning? Was the seller happy to wait and not consider any other offers? Yes. So basically, Halima, in that scenario, we had drawn up what is considered an exclusivity agreement. So we drew up a document which was done illegally by the solicitors, and that document basically said that because we were now spending money on the property, we were now going to be able to have exclusivity of the property and it couldn't be sold elsewhere, and she couldn't entertain negotiations with any other seller or any other buyer. Now, Renica says, so where do you find, okay, so Renica, that's an interesting question. So I'm hoping that I kind of answer this throughout the session. So where do we find the deals? Because believe it or not, Renica, deals actually exist everywhere. So first thing I would suggest is that you identify what kind of deals are you looking for, and then off the back of that, identify, do you want to go direct to vendor or do you want to deal directly with agents? Now, if you want to deal directly with a vendor, we need to identify what kind of properties and what are the strategies. So you're going to be looking for HMO property, because there are lots of different methods that you need to approach. And that's why I say that the 6 modules that we run there have actually got, and it's broken down into bit by bit, how to approach the vendors direct, how to deal with the agents, how to look at the different cash flow models, because each property has a different strategy. The question that I've also got to ask you, Renica, is that are you looking to acquire these for your own purpose, or are you looking to literally sell everything that you see? And that's fine. If you're looking to sell everything that you see, there's nothing wrong with that. But that means that it opens you out to look for a lot more properties. Does that make sense? So let's keep moving on with the questions. So Arsh, okay. So Darren says, how do you know what's a good price for land for sale before you build on it? Okay, so Darren, so with developments, in actual fact, you have to work backwards. So first you need to have a look at what the land is as it currently stands. Then you need to kind of identify what you can potentially put on there, and you can then start to calculate what's considered a GDV, a gross development value. Now, based off that gross development value, you can then identify how much can you allocate to it, how much is going to be the gross development value, how much is going to be the build cost. Then you can identify how much you can actually pay for the land. That's why with developments, you'll see some people build flats because the gross development value is higher, therefore they can offer more for the land. You'll find some people that will only want to put smaller houses on there, and therefore the gross development value will be lower. Therefore, you'll find that some developers may not be able to offer as much because they're competing against different people with different cash flow models. So Mohammed says, when looking at development opportunities, how easy is it to acquire about land's potential without a Ken? May he rest in peace. Ken's getting a lot of love on this session, and to be fair, he definitely needs it. So Ken was with me for over 20 years, and in that time we never had a failed planning permission. So Ken Hufferson, again, I think his son is on my Insta, so really great guy. He's missed pretty much every day. So yeah, you don't have a Ken, you need to have a Ken in your armor. So you need to have someone like Ken that you can bounce off. But believe it or not, it is easy to appraise opportunities. The more familiar you become with these opportunities, the easier it will become to appraise them. Does that make sense? So don't panic about that. Don't panic about trying to run before you can walk. Let's have a look at the opportunities. Let's appraise them together. You may not have a Ken, but believe it or not, you've got an Arsh. And as a result, we can appraise those together. So Aaron Andrew says, did the vendor of the unsold property get to know about the period of exclusivity of say a fortnight, or is this always a private arrangement between you and the agent only? All depends. You know, there's no hiding here. When we say hiding of information, I don't believe in hiding information. I'd rather the agent make everyone aware, because let's face it, as far as the vendor's concerned, it's the agent selling the property. It's not us. It's not us. They don't even know we exist. Because let's face it, the agent does not want to disclose to the vendor that they've not sold the property. Does that make sense? As far as the vendor is concerned, they just want to sell a property. Whether that property comes from, or whether that sale comes from someone else, etc., it doesn't matter where the buyer comes from. Does that make sense? So whilst we're going through some of these questions, let's keep moving on. So there's success in the tribe. I can talk to you about members of the Elite Property Tribe that have gone off and done great things in the Elite Property Tribe. So we've got, for the likes of Ashley Walker. Ashley's, believe it or not, a member of one of my on my Instagram as well. Ashley has built a company that now has a portfolio of properties where it actually costs him nothing to get involved. He's used other people's money. He's doing joint ventures with other people. We've got Bavney, who's done a number of property deals, and they're all rent-to-rent deals. We've got Lenko, who's done multiple property deals, and again, quite a varied level of whether they've been single lets and multi-lets and HMOs. Ale, believe it or not, is quite an exception, because in his period in the Elite Property Tribe, he didn't actually sell a single deal, but what he did is built himself quite a large rent-to-rent portfolio. So he went from 7 properties to 17 properties. So within the space of a year, he created himself another 10 properties, and he kept those as his own portfolio. So you don't have to sell anything. You can actually just build it for your own portfolio. We've got Amanda Merrington, who's done quite a number of deals in the EPT. And then we've got Adam, who's probably one of the most successful EPT members, if I'm honest. He's done over 50 deals in the Elite Property Tribe. And this was a large portfolio. We sold a large portfolio of properties, believe it or not, in Sunderland to one investor. I can't remember, I think it's the best part of £3 million. So we've done a number of different deals, but these are just some of the people that we can talk about in the Elite Property Tribe. And as being a member of the EPT, you can actually use the leverage of the Property Investor App to negotiate the deals with vendors and agents, and you can become that go-to person. So we are in the process of creating a partnership program, and being an EPT member, you can become a Property Investor App partner, and then we go from there. So just as a recap, what the EPT does, feel free to keep commenting, and please keep asking your questions. So with the EPT, we've got 6 easy to follow modules of online training. Each module will have a mini segment, how to find deals of vendors and how to structure the deal. We've got a fortnightly live deal clinic with me. So every Monday between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. We have a shadowing day in the office where you get to discuss your deals with me, and we get to find deals throughout that day. We have daily 10-minute calls throughout to discuss the opportunity. So if you find an opportunity and we can't wait for a deal clinic, literally you've got a call booking link, and in that call booking link we can have a chat, and we can go through the deal, and we can get that deal closed on that call as well. You get the ability to JV and sell your deals to my investor database. We've got over 110,000 people on that investor database. So not only are you not going to have to struggle to find deals, but you're also not going to have to struggle to sell deals as well. Plus, you've got the Elite Property Tribe WhatsApp group. So again, the links, someone said, would you mind putting the links in the chat? Yes, I'll do that for you. Right, okay, I'll do that now. So for those that need it, it's in the chat box, which you'll get. Let me just have a quick look if I put that correctly. So if you're on the webinar, that should be in your chat box now. So finally, that kind of concludes our presentation. If there are any other questions, feel free to ask away now. I've gone through quite a lot of stuff in quite a lot of speed there, in quite fast speed. Feel free to ask any questions. If there aren't any questions that you want me to ask, I'm going to ask right now, please feel free. You've got my office number there, so feel free to call the office and speak to my assistant, Fran. If you call Fran, and then if you wanted to put you through to me, feel free to. I'm always happy to take a call and have a conversation with you if there's anything that you want to ask of us surrounding the Elite Property Tribe. But on that note, guys, I really hope that you've enjoyed the session, really hope that you've enjoyed the live, and I look forward to speaking to you all soon. Remember, the Elite Property Tribe, we are starting from the first week of June. So hang on, so Andrew says, are many of your investors companies or limited companies? If so, are many of your investors companies or limited companies? Okay, so in our investor database, because we've got quite a lot of investors there, we have got lots of individuals and there are lots of companies as well. So Ben says, okay, so I missed the cost of the elite property tribe. So there we go. So the cost of it, hang on, let me just have a quick look, go back. So the cost of it is £3,000 for the year, and that can either be paid in one payment, 3,000, or it can be broken down into 3 monthly payments. But remember, the benefits of it is that you're going to be getting to see all the different types of deals. So looking at all 6 different types of strategies, plus the documentation, plus the spreadsheets, having a look at all the cash flow models, so that every time you see an opportunity, you're going to be able to do that deal. Does that kind of make sense? Hopefully that's kind of clarified that for you, Ben. So on that note, guys, I wish you all to be safe, well and happy. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, and I look forward to speaking to you all very soon. Thank you, and bye-bye.